Inquiring phone calls came in left and right for video production. Don was humbled to see the beginning of his idea had came home to roost. One call came in with a peculiar northern 718 area code. It was Don's first cousin Cash. "What's going on, Don, my favorite cousin?" Smiling through the phone, Cash said, "Cousin, I need a serious favor. I wouldn't do this for no one, yet I trust this boy with my life. My boy Chapo has been in Raleigh for about 6 months having a hard time moving some weed. He's totally lost out there and them country folks are giving him the runaround. Can you look out for him and put him up somewhere down there for me?" Chapo was a dark-skinned muscle-built Honduran male who portrayed to be a street nigger from the ghetto. He fell right in line. One wouldn't know that he wasn't black nor that he was fluent with writing, speaking, and understanding the Spanish language. Don said, "Sure, send him my number and I will handle it from there." Cash sent Don his love and regards and they both closed the line. Don continued about his normal day routine, editing, organizing files, and looking for a way to secure a bigger bag of money with his magazine company. The phone rang again, and this time it was a local South Side rap group called the Rat Killers, who were seeking to create a music video to their latest song, Kill All Rats. Don agreed to their monetary offer and figured that he could kill 2 birds with 1 stone by meeting Chapo and producing the video, so it was a win-win. Traveling to the south side of Raleigh, one of the toughest if not the toughest neighborhoods in the city, Chapo was on the phone directing Don which street he was standing on. Don pulled up and Chapo body language expressed he was being saved by a chopper from an unknown land, like in a war movie. Chapo hopped in the black Lincoln Continental with a raggedy travel bag, thanking and praising Don for coming to his aid. Chapo said, "These niggers smoked up all of my weed and took the rest of what I had left. I came down here with 3 pounds. Don just smirked, steering down Highway 147 passing over the Raleigh-Durham line into the Bull City. "Nigger, you don't know nobody down here. Welcome to the dirty South. These bitches will set your ass up." Turning onto the 1300 block of South Enterprise Avenue, Don told Chapo to stay quiet round the young wolf pack he came to visit because they may recognize his northern accent and that could spark another incident for him. Before Don and Chapo could exit, the Lincoln Ace had called, "My brother, where are you at, my brother? I'm about to go grab a bite to eat and I was just checking up on you to see if you had an appetite and see if you would like to join me." Don returned with a question, "Hey bro, do you know these young niggers on South Enterprise called the Rat Killers? I'm about to get them on camera." Ace said, "Yeah, they're some little niggers. Anyway, get your money." And Ace hung up abruptly. Don heard Ace's advice, yet he allowed no one to control who was permitted to be displayed in his magazine. Don was extremely strict on protecting the magazine's brand. Walking up the 1300 block of South Enterprise, row houses sat throughout the urban acreage. Young black men were posted up and relaxed every inch of the long block. A tall 6'7" male called Don over to a crowd of young men. "Hey Don, over here bruh." It was Big Scar from Inclusive Networks, one of Don's old co-workers. It was normal to see people outside of their everyday modus operandi pursuing their dreams. Don was one. Big Scar introduced each and everyone to Don and automatically a bond was made. These young boys were organized and one after another set ready for the spotlight to become the next big thing. Don cut the camera on as Chapo looked on in awe. Chapo went from night to day, yet he still felt some bitterness deep down inside, still badgering himself about the pounds of weed he lost a couple hours ago before meeting Don. Only if he got in touch earlier with Don's cousin Cash, was the recording that played over and over continuously in his head. Chapo looked on as Don started filming Big Scar and the large group of young men started throwing up gang signs with their fingers and waving bandanas. Some started brandishing guns as the intensity risen along with their music. In minutes the entire neighborhood was in sync with Rat Killer's song, "Kill All Rats," and that's when Don noticed two dimly lit streaming headlights sitting in darkness behind the crowd of singing young men at the back end of the block. Don would always keep his eye on the talent and his instincts on alert for any sudden surprise, due to being new to any area he visited to grab coverage of a local artist, model, or musician. Screeching tires disrupted the video shoot and the crowds of young men dispersed, fleeing in all directions for their safety. Bullets and fire flashes were rapidly released from the bed of an old pickup truck. Men laid in a row like sardines behind the row houses as random bullets struck trees, ricocheting off houses, and chipped the cement foundations of the house to shreds. Big Scar yelled, "Don, are you all right?" Don said, "Yes." Big Scar and 5 other young men withdrew assault rifles and automatic pistols and took a brave leap of faith, ran out to the street in line formation and returned fire as the pickup truck started reversing back into the darkness. Don, Chapo and the rest of the men came out of cover into the street under the tungsten street lamps to discuss what just happened with Big Scar. Young men were running past, back and forth to retrieve more guns as if Don, Big Scar, and Chapo didn't exist standing in the middle of the street. Big Scar said, "It's a war going on. We know who it is. It's time to ride. Thanks for everything, bruh," and he gave Don $1,000 crumbled up in an array of different bills. Don said, "I got you. I will chop this up and have it online and on the next issue of the magazine ASAP." Don jumped the engine and headed off down Highway 147 to Chapel Hill. On the ride back, Chapo's adrenaline was pumped. He said, "These niggers down here get down," referring to the wild cowboy broad daylight style shootout. "Yeah, I got to hang around more, I like this shit," and hired himself as Don's new muscle for the magazine off and on the road. The next day Ace called and asked, how did everything go with the Rat Killers video shoot? Don explained to him it was shot up. Don told Ace he was impressed how the Rat Killers returned fire and protected their neighborhood against an unknown surprise attacker. Ace laughed and moved on with his message. "Don, we need to hit the road this week to Charlotte. One of my Queen City girls connected us with the Onyx Strip Club for my little brother Otis to open up." The next day Don walked in Jackson's loft introducing Chapo as the magazine's new muscle, and Jackson nodded with glee. A handshake between the three cemented the new deal, and Jackson and Don sat down to discuss the future of the magazine and Jackson's upcoming semester. Jackson was always curious and eager to make appearances on set while Don filmed and conducted interviews, being aware of the danger he would place himself in, but he didn't care. Jackson was so exaggerated at times. Once after a huge DJ conference, he forced Don to ride shotgun speeding from Miami to his parents' beach home in the Florida Keys. Jackson loved the hype of the industry and the aura around it. His parents was excited he found a new leaf to get back focus for his senior year by forming a friendship with Don. Chapo cased Jackson's loft gathering information to base his approach on how to deal with Jackson and fit in the rare opportunity at hand. Jackson sat back relaxed on his leather sofa and pushed a nugget of Cali's best into the bowl on his bong, lit it and took a long deep hit, exhaling the hot smoke with a fire engine red face. Exhaling, coughing robustly, he asked Don and Chapo if they wanted a hit. Don looked at Jackson like he was a fool. Jackson knew Don didn't smoke and Chapo waved his index finger no. Chapo instantly realized how lavish Jackson was living and drafted a plan of action in mind. Leaving Jackson's loft, Chapo said, "Oh man, that's your boy." "Yeah, he's a young guru for sure." As the two headed for Chapel Hill, on the ride to town, Chapo constantly gave Don praise and thanked him for opening up a door for him in the South, a world he knew nothing about. Chapo told Don he was on the run for a sting operation in Ohio, where him and Don's cousin Cash were peddling drugs. So came south to lay low, and had to find a new market, so to test the waters he brung a few pounds of marijuana with him, which he realized after being around Don he would have never survived in the South. Don enlightened Chapo about his relations and business dealings with his cousin C. Black and the Italians, Ace, and Nitty. Chapo absorbed the solid information and became motivated to display his loyalty by any means necessary. To be continued.